Hi YouTube, it's been months. Don't fault me on that though. Actually, you can, because I definitely just wasn't posting for a while and I don't know why. But we're not here to talk about yeah. You know what? We're not here to talk about that. You know what? Let me just explain. I just stopped posting. I don't know why. It's just lack of consistency. But I am here today. And we can, in this video, we're going to... Lately, I have not been wanting to read my Bible. Okay? You see how it looks? It's just been sitting here. You know, I haven't been wanting to read it. And... I don't know, should I? Yeah, I opened it to 2 Kings 16:19. Alright, Hoshea, last king of Israel. This is so. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah, Hoshea's son, and Elah became king of Israel in Samaria. And he reigned 9 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, but not like the kings of Israel who preceded him. Okay, why did I open to this first? I always thought, like, when you open to a page, like, that's the page you're supposed to read. Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up to attack Hoshea, who had been Shalmaneser's vassal, and had paid him tribute. But the king of Assyria discovered that Hoshea was a traitor, for he had sent envoys to So, king of Egypt, and he no longer paid tribute to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore Shalmaneser seized him and put him in prison. The king of Assyria invaded the entire land, marched against Samaria, and laid siege to it for 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Syria captured Samaria and deported the Israelites to Assyria. He settled them in Halah and Gozan on the Habor River and in the towns of the Medes. Let me turn the camera around because it probably helped. All this took place because the Israelites had sinned against the Lord their God, who had brought them out of Egypt from under the power of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. They worshipped other gods and followed the practices of the nations the Lord had driven out before them, as well as the practices that the kings of Israel had introduced. The Israelites securely did things against the Lord their God that were not right. From watchtower to fortified city, they built themselves high places in all their towns. They set up sacred stones and Asherah poles on every high hill and under every spreading tree. At every high place they burned incense, as the nations whom the Lord had driven out before them had done. They did wicked things that aroused the Lord's anger. They worshipped idols, though the Lord had said, "You shall not do this." The Lord warned Israel and Judah through all his prophets and seers. Turn from your evil ways, observe my commands and decrees, in accordance with the entire law that I commanded your ancestors to obey, and that I delivered to you through my servants, the prophets. But they would not listen and were as stiff-necked as their ancestors, who did not trust in the Lord their God. They rejected his decrees and the covenant he had made with their ancestors and the statutes he had warned them to keep. They followed worthless idols and themselves became worthless. They imitated the nations around them, although the Lord had ordered them to not do as they do. They forsook all the commands of the Lord their God and made for themselves 2 idols. Cast in the shape of cows and Asherah pole. Wait a minute. the idols were in the shape of cows and a Shira pole, whatever it is. They bowed down to all the starry hosts, and they worshiped Baal. They sacrificed their sons and daughters in the fire. They practiced divination and saw omens, and sold themselves to do evil in the eyes of the Lord, arousing his anger. Wow. So the Lord was very angry with Israel and removed them from his presence. Only the tribe of Judah was left. And even Judah did not keep the commandments. Keep the commands of the Lord their God. They followed the practices Israel had introduced. Therefore, the Lord rejected all of the people of Israel. He afflicted them and gave them into the hands of plunderers until he thrust them from his presence. When he tore Israel away from the house of David, they made Jeroboam, son of Nebat, their king. Jeroboam enticed Israel away from following the Lord and caused them to commit a great sin. The Israelites persisted in all the sins of Jeroboam and did not turn away from them until the Lord removed them from his presence, as he had warned through all his servants, the prophets. So the people of Israel were taken from their homeland into exile in Assyria, and they are still there. Oh my goodness, I can't breathe. Okay, so let's talk about what we just read. I think this reminds me of the blind leading the blind and divination, because that's witchcraft. Okay, that's why they say zodiac is witchcraft. That's why they say that witch stuff is witchcraft. Obviously, what else is witchcraft? Obviously, voodoo. What else? Stuff like that. Tarot cards, all that. I don't know if crystals are necessarily witchcraft because they're just rocks. I think it depends on your intentions with that. Saging is bad. Yeah. And let's say your idol is probably, I don't know, Cardi B or something, and you're following everything she's doing. That's the blind leading the blind. That's just an example. At the end of the day, you have a choice. You do not have to follow other people and their beliefs, because honestly, I don't know. And when God speaks to you, just listen. Obviously, he has grace because we're not perfect, and I don't think he expects you to listen the first time. So, but it's good Lord, it's in your best interest to listen. Oh, and don't worship idols, because obviously that's bad. If you didn't know that. But you would know that if you just read the Bible. And if you don't want to, I don't know, if you have short attention span, just look up the chapters to read, to find certain stuff out, ask questions. I think that's all I got from this passage, though, from what I've seen. Why do I keep making these faces? Yeah, no. Also, when you don't listen to the Lord, it is seen as rebellion. So, it says Israel exiled because of sin. I think when you keep doing wrong, eventually you're gonna get cut off. Eventually, God's just gonna take his hands off you. So, the grace does run out. It's not infinite. Okay, let's keep going. The king of Assyria brought people from Babylon, Cutha, Ava, Hamath, and Sepharvaim, and settled them in the towns of Samaria to replace the Israelites. They took over Samaria and lived in its towns. When they first lived there, they did not worship the Lord, so he sent lions among them, and they killed some of the people. It was reported to the king of Assyria, the people you deported and resettled in the towns of Samaria do not know what the God of that country requires. He has sent lions among them, which are killing them off because the people do not know what he requires. Then the king of Assyria... Is this the Old Testament? God is known to be more strict in the Old Testament. Then the king of Assyria gave this order: have one of the priests you took captive from Samaria go back to live there, and teach the people what the God of the land requires. So one of the priests who had been exiled from Samaria came to live in Bethel and taught them how to worship the Lord. Nevertheless, each national group made its own gods in the several towns where they settled, and set them up in the shrines the people of Samaria had made at the high places. The people from Babylon made Succoth, Benoth, those from Cutha made Nergal, and those from Hamath made Ashima. The Avites made Nibhaz and Tartak, and the Sepharvites burned their children in the fire as sacrifices to Adrimelech and Anamelech, the gods of Sepharvaim. They worshipped the Lord, but they also appointed all sorts of their own people to officiate for them as priests in the shrines at the high places. They worshipped the Lord, but they also served their own gods in accordance with the customs of the nations from which they had been brought. They worshipped the Lord, but they also served their own gods. Oh, okay. To this day, they persist in their former practices. They neither worship the Lord nor adhere to the decrees and regulations, the laws and commands that the Lord gave the descendants of Jacob, who he named Israel. When the Lord made a covenant with the Israelites, he commanded them, do not worship any other gods or bow down to them, serve them, or sacrifice to them. But the Lord who brought you up out of Egypt with mighty power and outstretched arm is the one you must worship. To him you shall bow down, and to him offer sacrifices. You must always be careful to keep the decrees and regulations, the laws and commands he wrote for you. Do not worship other gods. Do not forget the covenant I have made with you, and do not worship other gods. Rather, worship the Lord your God. It is he who will deliver you from the hand of all your enemies. They would not listen, however, but persisted in their former practices. Even while these people were worshiping the Lord, they were serving their idols. To this day, their children and grandchildren continue to do as their ancestors did. I'm so fat. I can barely breathe and I'm just reading. But yeah, I'm also read in the Bible that your children suffer your sin or something from the third to the... I'm gonna look it up and put it on the screen because I'm getting it all messed up. Your children are gonna suffer your sins from the third and second generations or something like that. Because basically, whatever you teach them, they're gonna see it as normal and they're gonna do the same thing. And if it's wrong, it's like a curse, you know. You're gonna mess up the bloodline, basically. And a lot of times, what I just read, the Lord said, He literally repeated himself. He said, don't worship any idols, and don't forget the covenant I've made with you. Do not worship any other gods. So, this video, because honestly, I wasn't sure if I should even do this video. This video is for those who are into idol worship. And idolatry can be, I guess, putting anybody before God. It doesn't even have to be a celebrity, a belief, some other God that you may believe in or something. Whatever you put before the Lord, whatever you see that's more important than him, you are idolizing that thing or person. So yeah, if that fits to what you've been doing, then yes. Then yes, you're worshiping idols. This is 2 Kings 17:30 that I read. I read 2 Kings 17:29. Yeah, and this is the Bible. This is Holy Bible Zondervan Niv. The international version, basically. Because I like this one. It's easy to read for me. So it's whatever you prefer. There's different type of Bibles. So if you can't understand the, let's say, the King James version, there's other versions to read that are way easier. And this one I really enjoy because I really couldn't understand the King James version. All right, that's the message for today. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'll have a blessed day. And I'll come back for, I don't know, subscribe for more. Subscribe for more if you want to see more videos like this. I think I just wanted to share also, after I read my Bible, I feel lighter. So for those that don't really open their Bible, at least read a page or two. It's not gonna hurt. Literally just open it and read like 2 pages. You'll be glad you did.